Okay, the last section in 11.3, the last day on it, I'm going to show you how to simplify some of the more complicated rational expressions. So the first thing here that I'm going to do is I'm going to factor everything completely. Okay, so I'm going to take a 3 out of here, and I've got 3 times x minus 2. I'm going to factor the bottom of that equation. It's going to be x plus 1 times x plus 1, because 1 times 1 is 1, 1 plus 1 is 2. Okay, and I'm multiplying it by, this is the difference between two squares, so I've got my x plus 1, and I've got my x minus 1. And all of that goes over 3. Now, I'm going to look and see if I have anything in common with the tops and the bottoms. I've got a 3 here, and I've got a 3 here. I also have an x plus 1 here and an x plus 1 here. So when I rewrite this, this is going to be x minus 2 times x minus 1 over x plus 1, where x plus 1 cannot equal 0 because I took one of these out. So I'm going to subtract my 1 from both sides, and I have where x cannot equal -1. So we've got our answer, and we've got our excluded variables. Now what these excluded variables mean, if you forgot from last week, they simply mean that if I were to plug in -1 for my answer for x in the equation, I would end up with a 0 on the bottom. I cannot have a 0 on the bottom because that means that my equation is undefined, and we do not like undefined equations. So x cannot equal -1. Moving on to our next one. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to set this up. Since it's a little bit longer, I'm going to have to move down with it. So we are going to factor this. I'm going to start here. So I've got -6. So I know I have an x, and I know I have an x. Because this is negative, one of these is going to be plus and one of these is going to be minus. Now, I'm left with a -1, which means my larger number is going to be negative. So the factors of -6 that add together to equal -1 are -3 and +2. Now, on the bottom here, I'm actually going to go ahead and take out a 3 up here to make it a little bit easier in my factoring, okay? So I have a 3 out front, and now I'm left with the factors of 8 that equal 6. Well, since they're both positive, that's going to be x plus 2 and x plus 4. I'm now going to move over to my other equations. So if you'll notice, I can take a 6 out of here, and I'm left with x plus 4 on the top. I can also take a 2 out of here. I'm going to take a -2, because if I take a -2, well, let me just show you. So I'll take out the +2, and I'm left with 3 minus x. I can actually flip that around by taking out a -1. I'm basically saying I'm going to flip these two symbols by taking out that negative. So I'm going to do -2. And I'm going to make that x minus 3. Okay, so we're going to say I have an x plus 2 on top, x plus 2 on bottom, x minus 3 on top, x minus 3 on bottom, x plus 4 on top, x plus 4 on bottom. What I am left over with is a 3, a -2, and a 6. I can take the 3 out there, and I can take a 3 out here. I'm left with a +2 over -2, which is just simply -1. That simplified really well. So I have now to take out my excluded values. So I've got x plus 2 cannot equal 0. I've got x plus 4 cannot equal 0. And I have x minus 3 cannot equal 0. So my excluded values are going to be -2, -2. X cannot equal -2. X cannot equal -4, and x cannot equal +3. So I have here 3 excluded values with my final answer. Okay, you will be having a test next week over this, but I'm not going to go too much further than addition, subtraction with like denominators. So be paying attention before this. I'm actually splitting up chapter 11 into 2 separate tests for you to try and make it a little bit easier. If you have any questions over this, email or call me if you have questions, okay? I can't help you if you're not letting me know where you're getting lost, but I will gladly try if you let me know. We can always video chat, and I've got whiteboards here that I can put equations up on, and we can talk through them if you need to. Okay, let me know, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow when we start 11.4.